Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about the birth control cons. So let's do this. Right, before we start, I want to preface one thing. First of all, I'm not a medical professional. So let me put quick little banner up here to let you know that if you need any help of medical professional, please go to your medical professional and talk to them about this. But also make sure that you're educated, and this is what I'm here for. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a girl who reads articles on the internet. So let's get to the gist of today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about cons of birth control now, and especially birth control pill. Now, I realize that especially for us women with PCOS, there are a lot of pros of taking birth control pill. And I realize that a lot of people will go that route, and that is absolutely fine. Today, I just want to talk about something that not a lot of people know about, or we are not informed about enough to make informed decision. So let's start. Let me just write birth control cons here at the top. Now, there's a lot of birth, actually, I'm going to write birth control pill, that is P, cons. Now, we are going to divide this in half. First, we're going to start with short-term problems. So the first one is going to be spotting. Now, when I'm talking about spotting, I mean about spotting in between periods. Now, the problem with that is, I mean, a lot of women take birth control just for what it is for, so for birth control. But for us with PCOS, spotting is something that is mostly just not nice. But what does it indicate to us? When we take birth control pill, we're very often told by our doctors that it is to be taken to regulate our hormones. But what it actually does, it kind of almost replaces our hormones or kind of dull them down. So it puts this extra layer where our body is getting the information that we basically now have this all new hormones and start to act accordingly. Now, for some women, if their birth control isn't, for example, chosen correctly because their hormonal profile is a little bit different, they start getting spotting between periods. Of course, this is not a huge deal, but definitely can be unpleasant for some people. Now, another thing can be nausea. Sorry, I have to check how to write nausea. There it is. So this is something that, again, can happen, and it depends on a person. Again, just like with women being pregnant, having new hormones in their body, they start getting nauseous, they start reacting to those hormones badly. So again, if your hormonal birth control is not very well suited to you, it might be a problem. Now, another thing is breast tenderness. And this tenderness, this is basically when you feel all the time like when you're PMSing or like when you're pregnant. Because don't forget that birth control basically is fooling your body to think that it's pregnant all the time. So that is why it's stopping ovulation, because the body gets the information that, woohoo, you know, we are not going to ovulate now, she's already pregnant. So that is why also many of those symptoms will be resembling the symptoms of pregnancy. Now we have headaches. And this is, again, your body not handling well, plus migraines, not handling well this new migraines, this new amount of hormones. So again, basically your body giving you signals that whatever you gave it is not sitting very well with it. Weight gain. And this is very important for us with PCOS. 70% of women with PCOS have insulin resistance, and a lot of those women are overweight or obese. So having a lot of layer of hormones, a lot of estrogen, a lot of progesterone, etc., that is causing weight gain is just adding to the problem. So this is again something to consider. Now the next thing, mood changes. Many of us will see the opposite with PCOS, and I want to preface that. Even though I'm talking about the cons of birth control today, I want to say as well that it might work the other way around. If you have very high DHA levels or testosterone levels, you might be a very anxious person, and sometimes going on birth control actually helps But for other people, they start suffering from depression. They can also start suffering from anxiety. I have heard both sides of the coin, so it's very important to know that if you start or go off birth control and your mood suddenly changes, it might be changes in your hormones as well. Another thing is going to be missed periods. And this one I found somewhere, but I want to say one thing. When you get a period, when you're taking birth control, is not really a period, it's only bleeding from stopping taking the pill. Because normal period is the result of your body releasing the egg, then your uterus is filling up with blood, all your tissues to be ready to get that embryo that maybe is going to be created or not. And then period is actually getting rid of the blood and the tissue that hasn't been used to implant the new embryo in the uterus, right? So actually what we have in when we take in birth control pill stops our ovulation. So for that reason, it's actually not period, it's actually just bleeding caused by you stopping taking this thing that told you that you're pregnant, right? So that is very important to know. Point number 8. Decreased libido. And this is something that I would say from the people that I know, 90% of women who have been on birth control pill that I know have noticed this. And that again is because, well, as you know, probably women in pregnancy can have, both sides of the coin. But very often messing up with our hormones, and also sometimes, as a result, we have lower testosterone, can mess up with our libido. And this is something very unfortunate, especially if you are a woman with PCOS and you already have a lot of stuff that are messing up with your libido, like insulin resistance, like maybe, mentally dealing with stuff like hirsutism or being overweight and stuff like that. That is just an additional thing that we very often don't need. And we can have discharge. So that is just basically vaginal discharge, right? So it's just an inconvenience, but we might also be prone, from what I remember, we can also be prone to more infections when we are on birth control. Now, this is, not great. What I would actually highlight for PCOS would be weight gain, mood changes, and decreased libido. Those are those big things that I think, especially with us women with PCOS, we definitely do not need more of. Now, cons for the long term. Number 1, we have spotting between periods. No, that's not it. Cardiovascular problems. And this is not only for us with PCOS, this is for everyone with birth control. So we have cardiovascular problems. It can cause a variety of cardiovascular problems, but one of the things that we know a lot about is that it's making your blood thicker. So very often women who have birth control, for example, are said not to smoke cigarettes. Don't smoke cigarettes nevertheless, okay? It's not good for you. But especially if you're in birth control, you really shouldn't be doing it, because both birth control and cigarettes are thickening your blood. So you have much bigger chance to get thrombosis. I think in 2021, everybody knows what thrombosis is. Thrombocytopenia, thrombosis, blood clots, basically, that can travel to your brain. You can get a stroke. They can, be stuck in your leg, and you are going to have a problem with a blood clot in your leg. So this is one of the things that it can cause. Second thing is some form of cancers. Now, I want to play a devil's advocate here. Because apparently it helps with certain types of cancers, but it can cause another one. With breast cancer, it can actually cause, it can be one of the things that it will contribute for you having higher chance to get breast cancer, and similar with cervical cancer. However, for ovary and endometrial cancer, it actually decreases the chance, and for colon cancer, colorectal cancer, whatever, it actually makes the chance lower. So it is, a little bit like 50-50 there. But now I'm gonna actually go to what else? third thing, which I think is actually very important, can cause polycystic ovaries. Polycystic, I think I wrote it right, ovaries. Now, I'm not saying that it causes PCOS, but there's something called, I think now they call it just PCO. The basically polycystic ovaries that happen after you finish birth control. So I want to stop on this for a little bit longer, because why us women with PCOS very often take birth control is to manage our PCOS, and we are being very often told that it is going to regulate our hormones, but what it actually might cause is more polycystic ovaries. So being on birth control is a temporary solution. It's pressing a pause button on your PCOS. So when you finish taking birth control, very often you get the misconception that, okay, it's going to regulate my hormones, so when I get off it, my hormones are going to be great. I'm going to be able to get pregnant if I want to, or I'm not going to have acne anymore, or, you know, I just take it for 6 months as a therapy. Birth control doesn't fix anything. Birth control puts a pause button. As long as you take it, you know, you just covered the problem. As soon as you go off birth control, all those problems are going to come, and they can come much more. So that is an issue. And this is something that a lot of women with PCOS struggle with. I had the same problem. I started thinking, you know, for a variety of reasons. My biggest reason to take birth control, apart from being birth control, was my acne. And I was just sick of it. And I wanted, I was overdosed on birth control as well. That's another thing. I almost got a stroke. I started having migraines actually with aura. I was given wrong pill for the different story. Anyway, so I had to go off, and I was very afraid to go off birth control. I was a big proponent. It was very easy. I was taking those patches, changed it once a week. My skin was great. I was feeling good. I didn't have any mood swings or anything like that. But I knew that my acne is going to come back. I had some digestive issues. I have quite a lot of digestive issues, which actually can be connected to birth control as well. I don't want to go too much in depth about it because I don't have a good source, but I watched a webinar about it once. But I had a lot of digestive issues, and going off birth control was horrendous, and first few months were awful, and my periods didn't come back and didn't regulate, and the only help I got from doctor, actually my doctor was quite knowledgeable, I guess, because she said, stop eating a lot of carbs and take inositol. And she literally like this voice, stop eating a lot of carbs and take inositol. So I was like, what is this inositol? And that got me to a rabbit hole that brought me today. So it is very, very important to take that under consideration, especially if you're someone who wants to have kids at one point, because I see a lot of girls being on birth control for PCOS, then, you know, coming to that stage when they want to have a kid, going off and deciding all of a sudden and realizing all of a sudden, oh my God, my periods are not working. You know, my periods are not regular. I'm not ovulating. What now? And then they go down the route of letrozole or Clomid or IVF, etc. Whereas they going off birth control and working naturally for a few years might give you a lot of success, and you might be able to avoid that medication in the future. So that is it, guys. Those are my cons. I'm actually gonna, you know what, I'm gonna put here digestive issues. Boom. So that is it for today. Make sure you like this video. It helps my channel a lot. It helps me with algorithm. Click subscribe, and you can also now support me. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Agata. It helps my channel a lot. I really would like to buy back some of my time to actually be able to do it a little more hours in the week. So if you want to support my channel, this would always help me a lot. And that is it. I will see you next week. Bye.